In August of 2019, the CDC began investigating the e-cigarette industry with much more vigor than before. The reason for this was a number of people being hospitalized, 149 to be exact, within days of each other due to vaping. Now, many of these people hospitalized were actually young high school students, and this string of hospitalizations sparked a genuine question. How bad is vaping for you really? Hi, my name is Michael Moll, and welcome to my speech on effects of electronic cigarettes. Should we vape or should we not? Now, I wanted to give you a quick overview of what we're going to look at today. Number one, we're going to discuss the current state of vaping in the United States. Number two, we're going to ask ourselves the question, what are known risks of e-cigarettes? And we're going to look at some of the dangers. Number three, we're going to look at a specific example of negative effects vaping has on the human body. Let's get started. The current state of vaping in the United States is actually better than it's been in years. It's good news. For the first time in years, vaping has gone down, has decreased, is in decline. Between 2019 and 2020, it has gone down in the United States. And this is due, again, as we referred to them earlier, to these hospitalizations in 2019. The Trump administration took a very harsh stand against the vaping community. They took action, initially banning vaping altogether. However, they changed their statement and decided to ban flavored vaping products instead. The reason for the change was the fact that these flavored vaping products were the ones that were being purchased primarily by underage teenagers. Had they kept the course of banning it altogether, things would look very different today. Let's look at some risks of smoking e-cigarettes. Unfortunately, due to the fact that the e-cigarette industry hasn't been around for all too long, we don't yet know all of the potential effects it can have on our bodies. This in itself should be a huge reason not to use e-cigarette products. There's too many unknowns at this point in time. One thing we do know for sure, however, is that nicotine has the capability to greatly damage a developing brain. That's right, nicotine, the thing that is in tobacco smoking products, but also in e-cigarette products. This is a risk that needs to be taken very seriously, especially among our younger generation. Let's take a look at a specific example of vaping having a negative impact on our bodies. Now, vaping has been known to have a negative impact on our bodies during surgery, believe it or not. Since there is no odor, like there would be with smoking regular cigarettes, doctors cannot be aware of the fact that their patient might have nicotine in their bloodstream still, if they were using an e-cigarette product. Now, having nicotine in your bloodstream can cause issues during surgery, but also after surgery during the healing process. This is just one example that shows us that we have not yet been made aware of all the negative impacts that e-cigarette products have on our bodies. As time goes on, more issues are going to surface, and we should ask ourselves why we have not yet spoken up against the e-cigarette industry. To look over what we've talked about today, we started by talking about the decline in vaping, largely due to the Trump administration cracking down on that industry. Secondly, we looked at some of the dangers and risks associated with using e-cigarette products. And finally, we went over a specific example of e-cigarette products having a negative impact on our health, in that surgery with nicotine in your system can be very problematic. Now, the question looming large after all this information is, what can we do about this? What can I do about this? Well, it's actually quite simple. We need to speak up. The most effective tool to use in our fight against the use of e-cigarettes is information. Most people that use e-cigarette products aren't even aware of the dangers of these products or of the lack of information concerning long-term effects that these products might cause on our bodies. Now that we've heard this information today, it's our job to speak up. We have to speak up. We don't have to go to the streets. We don't have to take to the streets and riot, but what we can do is bring it up in conversation. Tell other people what you've heard today. Tell other people that nicotine has a negative impact on the brain development. Tell other people that nicotine, when used with e-cigarette products, can have a big impact on surgeries in a bad way. This information, believe it or not, will be helpful, and it will be especially helpful to those people who might be using e-cigarette products but not know the dangers. You might just save a life. Who knows? The only thing that will get us heard is our voice. And if you choose to use your voice to fight e-cigarettes, I applaud you. If you choose not to speak up, even though you know this information now, you are no better than the person using e-cigarettes with the knowledge already. And you're no better than the person who chooses not to fight against something this dangerous. I ask and considerately beg all of you, now that you know this information, do something about it. Fight against it and protect our younger generation from making mistakes that could have ghastly, horrible consequences on their bodies in the future. Thank you.